All right, so this next session, which I'm so excited about, is, by the way, where are my customers at in here? Can I get a raise of hands? How many people went over to that beautiful facility across the street, the Player 15 group, Suns and Mercury last night? Can I get a woo if you loved that experience over there? Which is about to also be our big party tonight, which is exciting. So to kick off this really, really special, amazing session that we're about to have for you with our great partners, please, can you guys give me a huge round of applause to bring back up the CEO and founder of Trainual, Chris Ronzio.
All right, everyone, it's so good to see you again. Now, Jonathan ended the last session telling you about the FUBU logo I drew in the basement of our household home next to the Fisher-Price hoop. So we used to play basketball in our basement. You couldn't really get a shot off because it was low ceilings, but we were little kids, and basketball has always been a part of my life. I played all growing up. I love the sport. If you follow me on social media, you probably see me posting Suns games and Mercury games and as much basketball content as I do Trainual content, if we're being honest. So it was an absolute dream of mine to work with the franchise locally here, to work with the Phoenix Suns and the Mercury. And I got a chance to get to know these two guys that you're about to meet, Dan Costello, Josh Bartelstein, over the last few years, mostly because I was going to so many games and I wouldn't leave them alone until they wanted to know what Trainual is about. And what was really cool is they came over to our office 10 miles from here or so, and when they got to know what Trainual is about, they felt the same connection, like we have to find a way to work together. And so beyond just hosting the parties last night and tonight, and you getting to see their beautiful venue, I wanted to meet these two guys, which have become friends, and they're amazing new partners of ours. So Dan, Josh, come on up.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here. I should have asked you for walk-up songs. You guys are in the entertainment business. Like, do you have a walk-up song?
I got my wife would definitely have a walk-up song, from probably like an annoying song, but I'm just happy of any music coming up here right now.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for being here. So we're going to talk about the business of sports, because I don't know how many of us are in this business, but I think it's a really interesting business. So we'll talk about the business of sports, how it's structured, culture, driving revenue, partnership. We've got a lot of ground to cover in the next half hour. But first, Josh, you came into this business 2 years ago or so, and there was a change in ownership. And when you took the reins, you took, a franchise that is very important to this city and a group of people. How did you start to drive the culture and the vision and everything that you wanted to do? What were those first couple days and weeks like?
Yeah, so I was hired here a little over 18 months ago. Before I was here, I was with the Detroit Pistons for 8 years. I played basketball at University of Michigan, so I was always a Midwestern guy. And that's how I got to know our owner, Matt Ishbia, who lives in Michigan. And when he hired me, I'm young, so when he hired me, I was 34 years old. And he hires me, and it's like great, and it's like, well, now what? Now what do I do? And all the anxiety, the anxiousness of making a good first impression. And you're right, the Suns were just coming off a tumultuous era with an ownership change and some cultural issues. And for me, it was all about how do I build trust, right? Why should this guy right here and all of our other executives trust the 34-year-old to come in here and truly create change? And that was shaped in our culture. I call it a people-first culture. We got rid of the word employee, and we changed everything to team member, and truly showing you care. And we've built a true friendship. Dan and I aren't just colleagues and teammates, but we're friends. I ask about his kids, Logan and Dylan, and his wife, Melissa, and what they're doing. And you can't just talk about it, you got to be about it. So what we've kind of done is create this care factor across the organization of all 500 team members, where I know everyone's name. I know what they do on the weekends. I know about their families, but truly caring for the right reasons, not just about when the presentations do or when the projects do. So having the humility in that, truly showing you care and building trust, and not having this hierarchy where you have a big ego and all this power to your head, but letting people see you be vulnerable, and building relationships. And then that has transcended this thing over the last 18 months and all the success we've had.
Yeah, and it's been incredible to see this new building and just the energy. When you walk through there, I'm sure a lot of you saw it when you were there. All the people that are there are just so bought into this mission and what this new culture is about. So one of the things that you told me when we first met is that you and Matt and the rest of the leadership team wanted to build the best business in sports, the best operation in sports. Can you articulate a little bit more about that vision and the story behind that?
Our goal is to be the premier sports and entertainment organization in the entire country. And I think that comes from how you operate. So we have a slogan we use: think big, act small. And a quick story I'll give is Devin Booker, right, our star, was on the Olympic team this summer. And Devin is a superstar, one of the best in the world of basketball. But last September, over a year before the Olympics, someone tweeted at him, like, for Team USA to win gold, some superstar has to buy into doing the small things and just doing whatever it takes, playing defense, rebounding. And Devin tweeted at that person, "I'll do it." And if you watch the Olympics this year, he was the unsung MVP, the hero, because he guarded the other team's best player and was incredible. And that's the mantra we have in Player 15 Group, which is the parent company of the Suns and Mercury, is think big, act small. Having a humility in how you operate. So having these amazing big ideas, from building a new headquarters to a new TV deal, to a new food and beverage deal, to the biggest partnerships, to doing things like we're doing with you. I love all the ideas, but the success comes in process, systems, and how you operate. And I think a lot of times people have big ideas, or they don't have big ideas and this operate at a level. We want to have both. And if Devin Booker can do it, if Devin Booker can say, "I'll do it," and I can walk around and pick up a straw or help a little kid who spilled his popcorn and buy him a new popcorn, those small things, it makes such a big difference. And our success, again, it's the culture and the fact that we're humble in how we operate with really, really big ideas.
Yeah, I love that. The think big, act small. Like, do all the small things in service of the big mission, the big goals. Dan, I'll ask you, are there other cultural elements, or whether they're values or principles or things that you think the whole team really shares?
First off, I've been thinking about my walk-up music. And, I'm all about Tupac on the West Coast over here. So it'd have to be a little bit about Tupac.
Okay.
How great is this environment? So it's really cool that you would put this group together to kind of share, I think, the value system around process. And I think for us, that's a lot about what we talk about too. I think one, while our headquarters is really a facility, it's a beautiful facility, it really is about, the little things that happen in there. So, I talk a little bit about lunch and having an opportunity to catch up with people over lunch. Those types of moments that aren't planned. Josh, also started a lot of little small process things where we have agendas before we start meetings. And we really strive to leave 15 minutes early in meetings so that we can stay behind and catch up on things. Those little things to me allow for, you're not just walking into a meeting and out of a meeting, you actually have a chance to catch up with people, talk about walk-up music and things like that.
So you can all share your favorite walk-up songs at the end. Maybe we'll leave 15 minutes at the end of tonight for you to share your walk-up songs. Yeah. So Josh, I always think about, like, when I'm addressing our whole company, we're doing our big all hands meetings, how I'm constantly reinforcing the mission or our objectives for the quarter, whatever it is. And I think in running a business like yours, where there's constantly sporting events and there's concerts going on and people are traveling and working on the weekend, you've got to have people everywhere all the time. How do you reinforce the leadership messages, and what kind of cadence do you use to address the team?
Yeah, so we're a big business. We're actually kind of small. We just traded for $4 billion 18 months ago, but we're only 500 people. We have a lot of part-timers who work the events. Again, I think that we're small enough where you can truly make an impact. So we do a once a month all team member meeting where I speak about our values, what we're focused on, our process, how we operate. I speak to our part-time team members. I'll walk around the arena and hear what's working, what's not working. We're not that big where you can't make a difference. I think what I heard in the past regime was that people were in their ivory tower and they didn't really know what was going on. That will never be me. Like my start in the NBA was being the owner of the Pistons assistant. And my first day on the job, he had a friend in town who had these really ugly brown shoes with all this mud on it. And he's like, "You gotta go find someone to shine these brown shoes." And I was like, it doesn't matter how much you shine them, they're still gonna be really ugly and really bad. But that was my job. And I went to go find the best shoe shiner in Michigan to get those shoes to look really, really good. So I think to answer your question, like the way I do it is we're out and about and we're reinforcing the values and we're walking around and seeing, again, something on the ground, picking it up ourselves and all the different slogans we have, because we're not that big where you can truly make an impact. And then we have our stuff all over our building, which you saw last night. We have it at our arena footprint center where you can see the core values and train people, because at the end of the day, every event, concert, show, there's 17,000 fans who want to create a memory. Memory can be good and we win. It could be we lose and they're mad at me for the team we have. But the people who work it help create those memories. And the impact they make in the culture we have is what allows us to do that.
So you've got fans that are kind of stakeholders. Like those are your customers, right?
You're, like you.
Yeah, like me. And then you've got your employees, who's another group of stakeholders. But then unlike us, you've got this third group. You've got players. And so your business kind of has that extra element. So can you just walk through like the organizational structure of how you oversee and manage a complex business like that? How do you break it up?
Just how to get through each day. But it's like right now I'm waiting for a text on 2 of our players are getting MRIs on their calf and hamstring. That will either make me really happy because they're fine or really unhappy because they're not fine. My happiness based on that is a very flawed business to be a part of. But our structure is unique in that I oversee the Suns and Mercury and G League, the business side, so our P&L and how we drive revenues and how we manage expenses, but also the basketball side and the players I trade for and sign and draft. And it's very different. The business side, I love because I can control it in all these different levers. Dan and I can talk strategy all day about doing deals with you and driving revenue. And then when we're behind, how we manage expenses. The basketball side is so hard. It's tied a lot to health, and it's a zero-sum game. Like the Suns play the Kings tonight, and the Suns and Kings can both have amazing years on the business side. We're not really competing. Different fans, different markets. Tonight on the basketball court, we're either going to win or lose. One of us has to lose that game. So what's unique about it is you can have one side doing amazing, one side doing not so amazing, and what you can control is less and less and less on the basketball side. But the basketball side and winning ties so much to how much success you have on the business side.
Yeah, Dan, do you feel that? I mean, the winningness of the team is directly correlated probably
so
to
good
the
at
revenue,
selling,
right?
Win 0 games, and it would still be a top revenue team.
There's got to be some stories about when they were not a top winning team. How would you spin that to still drive revenue for the business?
Listen, I remember our patch partner. If you watch our games on our jerseys, PayPal. And we did that deal. I think we won 20 games that year. And it was really about business objectives. For me, if we're really good at managing business objectives, and we're still part of this really big global business, like the business of basketball, it ties into fashion and music and pop culture and, the fandom that is global. I think we're really focused on business objectives. And oh, by the way, we happen to have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. I will tell you, I think with Josh and our relationship and, his caring factor of our family, like you can see the stress when players and other things there. So like for me, with Matt and Josh coming in, it feels more. Every game feels more because there's just such a desire to try to win at a high level like I haven't seen before.
Yeah. So this morning when I spoke with all of you, I talked about continuous improvement and how you're constantly, trying to improve. And so I'm curious what systems you have in the business to make sure that you're constantly leveling up the fan experience or constantly leveling up the player experience when you bring on someone else. How do you think about continuous improvement? Yeah,
so those are 2 of our core pillars. And I think this business is hard. There's a lot of things you don't control. There's certain things we do control. So fan experience is one of them. We've invested a lot in it, and there's no silver bullet to fan experience. It's all the small things. So ingress, like where you park and how quickly you get in the arena. I hate waiting in lines, so making sure our lines are shorter. So we bought scanners that scan you way faster getting into the building with your ticket. So you're not waiting for someone to scan your ticket every single step of the way. We also now have the security scanners. So if you take things out of your pockets and have everyone around you, you can walk right through. We're still seeing what's in your pockets, but different technology that we invested in. Most teams aren't doing that because there's a cost to it. To me, the cost for your happiness and enjoyment is priceless. So small things like that. Now in our concession stands, there's certain areas where you can just go and pick something out of the concession stand, and we have cameras that you certify, you recognize your credit card, and they can just charge you. You don't have to wait in line to cash out. kind of crazy technology, again, frictionless, making ourselves way better, to the cleanliness of the building and how clean it is, to how excited the usher is to welcome you and make sure you're in your seat. And then we survey it. So after every game, we ask 1,000 different people to take a survey, and I look after every single game to make sure that all the metrics we care about, we're doing. Because you can't, it's not subjective, it's objective data in what we're doing. To our players, and that, again, we want to take their families and take care of their families at the highest level. So we built a new $2 million family room where their families can watch the game and they have kids and hang out and great experience. To a new culinary team, so they have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Our players are incredibly spoiled, but it's good. We want them to be spoiled. So to me, it's all these different small things that, again, some teams do, some don't do. I'm confident in saying no one does as many as us and at a really, really high level.
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing a lot of things that are just leveling up sports and entertainment that other teams aren't doing. And on that, the fan and player experience, that's one piece of it. What about on the revenue side? Like, what experiences or things are you offering for partners or premium seating or things that just other arenas aren't doing?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I think for us, we've really focused on bespoke and highly focused on segmentation strategies. So that, as Josh talked about, that customer journey is really important, but also trying to understand, how do we differentiate products within our business? And then also, how do we create experiences for every fan? So I could talk for hours about our premium experiences, but also I think we're both really proud of the work we've done for our fans who buy the cheapest seat in the arena and has a chance to walk in one of our corner bars and enjoy the game. I think our fan-friendly food items also are a big opportunity for fans to come in and have, a hot dog at an affordable price. And so, I think for us, we really focus heavily on segmentation. We also really focus heavily on the right people. We are a people business. And so as much as we talk about the products and differentiation, the segmentation strategy, it's also how we hire people, how we train people, how they buy into what we're trying to do, how they understand our fans' behaviors, how we have effective CRM systems that understand likeness and what things look like. So, I think for us, as much as we talk about the customer journey and what that looks like, it's about people. We have to hire really great people.
So are there people on your team? I mean, most of the businesses out here are probably smaller than the Suns Mercury Player 15 group. Are there specific roles on your team that are focused on those experiences, that are clocking the time it takes from parking to coming through the security? Like, what would you suggest that they can take back with them to evaluate some of these processes that could be better?
Yeah, we've actually hired a lot of people, and obviously you got to manage budgets and all of those things, but I'm a big believer in having project management process people who are just tied to making sure that when the idea is there, it's done to close out. There's sometimes you have ideas or put things in place, and it's like 90% done, but it's not 100% done. So we get reports on the amount of people who go through our security systems, how many people were flagged for having something in their pocket, which slows it down, and how we can communicate with our fans to not have those things that maybe flag the system, that hold everything up for us too. We have our bathroom checks as far as making sure there's soap in the dispenser and paper towels. Like, I care about those things. I want to know what's going on. So after our last game, I actually emailed our head of ops saying the bathroom I went into, like, there was no soap in it. That can't happen. We can't not have soap in the soap dispenser. So yeah, it's not just talking about, but then who's in charge of it, how often they're checking it, and then making sure you're giving quality control. And we have people just dedicated to that exact thing.
Do you have secret shoppers? I was telling them earlier.
Secret shoppers.
Yeah.
A lot of secret shoppers.
Let's talk about that, because I don't know if I've told you guys this. I did, in college, I did secret shopping for the Patriots. And they would give me just like an envelope of cash, and I would check how warm the hot dogs were. And
you can be a secret shopper again.
How'd you get that job?
Got time. I got extra time. Huh?
Did you apply for that job, or?
They were doing a career fair, and I had my business in college, but the Patriots were there, and it's like, oh, I could do that. I get to go to the games free, and you'll pay me.
Good. We're welcome to do it for us too.
All right, we'll talk later.
We're not going to pay you, but you can do it for us too.
Talk later, but talk about the secret shopping, because that's something I think all of them could do in their business.
Yeah, I don't like knowing, because it's so biased, and all the data we have when it's your own team members or people that are intentional. But I literally just got an email walking over here of 5 secret shoppers from 2 games ago, and all their comments of they're literally naming people's names about how nice they wear them, which is awesome. But every game beyond us grading ourselves, we have a third-party company that sends people to the game. I guess they are getting paid. We can make a referral if you want to work for them.
Okay, yeah, affiliate fee.
Yes, and they're just check everything out from the retail store to the concessions to the ingress to the egress, and give us their feedback. And we were at 97% for our last game, which we'll take. Not always 97%, but 97% for our last game, which was very good.
We're 8-2, so like the beer's always colder when you're winning basketball games like that.
Yeah.
And so
Makes sense. Okay. So Dan.
9-2.
9-2. Mistake it. 9-2.
So Dan, I think there's been like 140 sellouts in a row or something. Do you know the exact number? It's something like that,
You're right there, yeah.
Right there. So there's only so many seats you can sell in the stadium. And so as you're thinking year over year, as the CRO, how do I drive revenue for this business? What are the other channels of revenue, or how do you think about that?
It's not just me. I mean, we have a team of people that are always thinking about experiences and creating new products. And, we take a look every year. I think it's really important in your business to go back and look at areas of opportunity and start charting the course for what next season's going to look like. And we are in a season business. So, as we start the season, we had our first meeting last week, preparing for renewals for next year. What's that process look like? How are we thinking about it? What's the timing of it? How do we time it with the trade deadline? What does that look like? But for us, we think that the business continues to evolve. The trends that we see around entertainment and basketball are very similar to what you see in hotels, very similar to what you see in the restaurant business. So, we're excited. In a couple of weeks, we debut a new private club product.
You can come to that too.
Yeah. He's a member?
I'm a member. I think I was, member 3?
Yeah.
Early.
But we're seeing, more interest in social clubs. And so, we will have a social club that's here, agnostic of basketball. It'll be open during every basketball game, but also open Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. And we lean into these trends. And the exciting thing, I think, for us is that, we will take chances if the data's there. And I think the other thing that I love about our group is we move quick. I think we'll evaluate, but we move really quick. And there's a strategy in terms of moving quick and executing at a fast level that we get excited about too.
Yeah, every time I open my email, you're selling me something else. So I appreciate all the premium products.
And I just think in sports, but all business, there's so much groupthink, especially in the NBA, where the power of the NBA can push you forward 5-10% every year, and you can do absolutely nothing. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we believe in innovation, and when people zig, we zag. And we're not always going to be right. A lot of times I am wrong, but there's power in doing that. So we're innovative. We're trying new things out, like the Carbone restaurant, different clubs we're building. On the margins, it is impactful. Does it impact our total bottom line? No. But on the margins, it's impactful. It's impactful to you because you're like, wow, they're constantly doing something. And then we believe in going really fast. I hate paralysis by analysis where you have 20 spreadsheets and all these things. No. If you've done the analysis, you feel good about it, do it. And guess what? If it doesn't work, then we'll fix it.
Exactly. I love it. One of our core values is make ideas happen. We're the same way. Just think it and do it. So I know another revenue driving area is partnerships. And for the Suns and Mercury, how are you thinking about brand partnerships, or how has that changed recently? How's your thinking on that changed?
Yeah, I think for us, I'm excited. I think our partnership business is as strong as any team in sports. And it's because of our commitment to make sure that we're not fulfilling marketing objectives. We're focused on business objectives. And the way the NBA is structured for us, we're in Phoenix. We're not the biggest market in the world. We don't have as many television households as the population of New York or San Francisco. But our revenues show differently. And I think for us, the global aspects of our business allow us to punch above our weight. And our player likeness, the roster that we have is so large that the audience allow us to play in marketplaces that we might not otherwise be able to play in, but it's also because our ideas are innovative. We think differently about the business, and we're excited about the ways that we're thinking about bringing ecosystems together so that businesses can work together to grow the collective pot.
So when you're looking for partners, what do you think about? What made Trainual a good fit as a partner? What were the boxes that we needed to check? And maybe another way to ask that question is, how should these businesses think about getting into sports sponsorships, and if that makes sense for them?
Yeah, I think let's talk Trainual for example. I think one, it's this incredible brand that you see it, and you might think it's about fitness at first, right? You might think that it's about, training, which I think it is at its core, but, I look at our medium, our ability to be able to storytell, our ability to create a really interesting case study around how we can benefit from the product, how, I think our core values around consistency, really striving for focused process, our desire to make sure that we can level up our team members. Once that fits there, then I look at our ability to be able to tell the story in key marketplaces. I think sports partnerships, to me, are really great places to play. Our fan base, especially in the divisive times that are out there right now, the one thing you can rally around is your favorite teams. You can rally around music, these gathering spaces that bring people together. And if you have an authentic message that you can create space to tell that story with, I think sports are a great place. And it's not always, at the big four. You can do that in youth sports, which I know you started your career in. You can do that, at different levels. But understanding the demographics and creating stories is where I think this becomes a really good opportunity.
How about the explosion in women's sports recently? So, the WNBA, round of applause. So I've been following the WNBA closer this year than I ever have in the past, and I think that that's probably the same for a lot of people. But how has that increased awareness and attention influenced the partnerships and things that are happening on the women's side?
Yeah, it's I always tell our team the biggest opportunity we have is not off the Suns, it's actually with the Mercury. But we said this 18 months ago when Matt bought the team. Our first meeting was actually not about the Suns, about the Mercury and setting the standard for what the WNBA should be. So what did we do? We said, for it to grow, you have to invest in it, but not see a return. Just invest because you care. So they used to stay at 3-star hotels, and why would they stay at 3-star hotels? They should stay at 5-star hotels like the NBA team. And we should build them a $100 million facility, which you guys saw last night. That's even better than the Suns. And they did that. And we did that. And when you go to a city, they should have a team dinner like the NBA team. It's insane to not do that. And then when teams are well, it's not the same revenue, the only way the NBA got there was because people kept investing it and saw the upside of it. So we were ahead. We went hard after the WNBA All-Star game last year to show what it can be. It was considered the best, and that's subjective, but the best WNBA All-Star game ever because we spent a ton of money on it because we believed in where the game is going. So it's cool for us now to see a TV deal, 5X and all these things, but still there are some teams, some people who don't see the long-term opportunity. I think for us, our team got some, players want to come here. Partners want to be here. When you invest something because you care about it and don't have to always see a return on it is when it can explode. And the explosion is because it's an amazing basketball, he's an amazing woman, and it's long overdue, but we're just starting actually.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm so excited that the rest of you will get to see the facility tonight. We'll be at the Mercury's training facility, which is beautiful again. So take that in, take pictures, post on social. Make sure you tell the story of the WNBA growing. But the WNBA or the Mercury and the Suns also had incredible representation at the Olympics. So this is like a global growth business. How do you think about growing the Suns and Mercury's presence or brand globally?
Yeah, I think for us, it's very deliberate. We've got opportunities because of the rosters on both the Suns and the Mercury that have a ton of international exposure. The Olympics is an amazing opportunity to springboard from that perspective. I think for us, we want to be first to have our team play international games on the WNBA side. I think you'll see us do some things in Asia next year. I think for us, the opportunity for us to be first is a benefit, and moving first is a huge benefit. And the players in the WNBA are just starting to get domestic exposure. It's whether that's the Caitlin Clark effect and what's happening, you're seeing a national audience take note of the WNBA. And for us, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more opportunity when we start talking about these players playing more internationally and when there's little girls playing in leagues. One of the things I think it's hard to believe, but one of the first things we did amongst all the things Josh talked about this year is started legacy leagues. So it's the first leagues that are all-girl junior Mercury basketball programs in the marketplace. Forever, my daughter started playing with boys. Now, this past year, we'll be starting our second year of little girls playing alongside little girls in basketball. He said, when more girls are playing, you can imagine the growth even gets more exponential, which to me, that happens all over the world. So those are the investments that start today that maybe don't pay off for 5-10 years, but it's a tidal wave when it does.
It kind of fits into the think big, act small, right? Doing little things now to have big payoff later. As we wrap up here, what are just any final tip or takeaway that you'd like everyone to leave with?
I feel like you're the best at what you do. I think for us, it's just we have a lot of fun with what we're doing. Like, it's big business. There's wins and losses, but I think the smiles on people's faces when you come there tonight are real. And I think whether you're a CEO or you're an intern, that's your first day. There's never any reason to have power or ego. The whole care factor should be, can you make your team members really happy to come to work and care about them? And if you do that, then all these other ideas come to life. But you can't do that with people loving what they do. And you can't just talk about it again. You got to actually be about it.
Any final words, Dan?
It's about the details. I think for us, we're still dreaming and innovating, but you got to execute. You have to execute at a really high level. There's a lot at stake, and I think we take it seriously, but we have a fun time. And so thank you all for being here, and thank you for letting us coming out and share.
All right, thank you both for being here, and we'll party tonight.